Take me out. Say never come back. But they didn't. I walked into CBS studios in the morning on Sundays when they're taping in that case, Face the Nation. And they said, oh yeah, you got a press ID. They let me go into the cafeteria and have a free donut and some coffee, and I'd watch the taping of Face the Nation, right? Watch the taping of Face the Nation. Then the newsmakers make sure that it really looks good and everything's fine. And then the newsmakers would get up and walk out the front door, and I'd be there to meet them at the front door. How are you? I'm with AP Radio. And I would ask the same questions that the big guys asked. And then I would ride my moped 4 blocks away to K Street, to Associated Press Radio Studios, and I would do my little minute-long radio story, which would be the lead story on 1,200 radio stations across the United States, Canada, and Armed Forces Radio every Monday morning. I became a flippin' star. After about 6 months of this, I start getting offers from major market radio stations. Hey, you're what our correspondent you are. They didn't know I'd never set foot in a real radio station in my life, but they thought I must be pretty cool because, I'm talking to the Secretary of State. She's got some juice here. And this was the first time I realized how much individual power one person can have over the course of their life. I was still broke. I was still riding my moped in the rain and the snow in Washington, D.C., but there was a cop outside the Rayburn House office building. Now, this was before the stuff and the guards and everything, who let me chain my bike up to the lamppost, and I could go down into the basement to the little media ghetto, where these acne-covered guys in jeans and old T-shirts were running big VCR machines. They called it C-SPAN. We thought, yeah, it'd never work. Go figure. But, it was a process, a growing process, and realizing that, wait a minute, I may not know how to work in a real radio station, but I figured out something here, and it's not unique. And back then, there were a lot of people just trying to eke out a living, but recognizing the opportunities. The opportunities. And I'm not a person who believes in luck necessarily. I don't know about you. Oh, my lucky day or fate or anything like that. I think luck is really when opportunity meets preparation. When we open ourselves up, we're prepared and we're alert and we're seeing what's going on around us and we're ready to jump on that opportunity. And because we've got our eyes open and we recognize it and we can make the most of it. And that's what the Emerald News Service was all about. And yes, I wound up accepting a radio job back in Portland, Oregon. And, timing and all that being everything, I moved back to Portland, my hometown-ish, and got a job at a radio station, KYXI, the CBS radio affiliate, also an AP radio affiliate. And a couple of months later, I got a phone call from somebody who said, hey, there are these swarms of earthquakes happening under Mount St. Helens. You ought to check it out. So I did. So in March, I did the first story about, hey, these swarms of earthquakes, what do they mean? And a couple of months later, half the mountain blew up. And CBS Radio wanted me to be their daily correspondent, and AP. And then I got a call from a guy in LA at KFWB Radio. Said, come on down and work for us. We've been listening to your reports on Mount St. Helens. It's great. And so this is how it all sort of came together. Opportunity, meeting preparation, being aware of what's going on around us, and listening to our hearts, right? You listen to your heart. I was listening to it, enjoying every step of the way. There's one thing about journalism and so many other professions is that we have to listen to and respond to our natural curiosity about the world around us, about industries that we're not aware of. Ask the questions that some people think are dumb, but that will get answers that are really going to fuel us and give us a different perspective on who we are and where we want to be in life. So it was a grand career in journalism. In '85, though, I saw the writing on the wall. When it's the Sally Jesse Raphael and the Bruce Williams, the syndicated talk shows that were coming up through CBS Radio and other networks. And I thought, programmers are going to start buying that stuff, and they're not going to pay big bucks for people in local radio stations anymore. So time to make a change, another change. So it was the same thing. How do I become that Emerald News Service again? Where do I find that? How do I find the passion and the direction to take the next step that needs to be taken? And it was a fearful one. I could have stayed in radio someplace else, but no, it was time. It was time to take that next step and grow, to push myself, like so many of us, you know. You're here because there's something inside of you, right, that says, I need to push myself a little bit more. I need to challenge myself a little bit more. Because you know what happens when we don't, right? We wind up getting too complacent. And then we stop growing and learning and enjoying and feeling the sheer exhilaration of being alive and actually doing more than taking up space. How many of you are content with just taking up space? Huh? Let's see your hands if you're content with see, yeah, you're not content with taking up space. You want to leave your mark, don't you? You do. And not just with the kids and the husband and the dent in the car, okay? We want to leave our mark. We want the world to know we were here because somewhere along the way, we challenged ourselves and we made a difference somewhere. We opened the door for other women to walk through, for example. When I was hired at KSDO Radio here in San Diego in 1981, I was told the only reason I was being hired is because they had just fired the one woman they had on the air. That's why they hired me. And I had a low voice, so there were listeners who may have thought I was a guy, and so it was a safer decision. But I was an EEOC hire, an Equal Employment Opportunity Commission hire. The FCC said, you fire a woman, you got to put another woman in her place. That was my break, coming to work at this the radio station here. And then the TV station, well, yeah, they needed to get women on the air, and they knew it. And I was already a known commodity. She's a real pain in the ass. That's what the photographers all said to our news director, Paul Sands, who, by the way, was this tall. And Michael Tuck, who was you remember Michael Tuck? Michael Tuck said the only reason Sands hired me was to increase the average height in the newsroom. And I think he might be right. I don't know. But they knew me. The photographers didn't like me because I'd always stick my microphone in the middle of their shots. But they said, but she's tough and she's aggressive and she's not just going to stand back and, be spoon-fed. So they hired me. But again, it was because they had to get women on the air, early in this whole industry. And so I did have an opportunity. But of course, I didn't have an audition tape. So what I did was I went to City College, San Diego City College, hired their crew there in their little TV station, did a bunch of cue cards. At the time, Channel 51 was just starting to think about doing a news operations, and they had a feed from UPN, and I asked if I could just have some of their videos so I could do a little 5-minute newscast. I remember one of the stories was Bhopal, India. Remember the great disaster, the poisoning from Bhopal? Did a little newscast. They said, yeah, okay, fine. You're hired anyway. We know you're a pain in the neck, and that's good. We want people who are going to be a pain. So within a year after that, guess what? The troublemaker, the pain in everybody's neck, gets to go out and be a pain in the necks of people who break the rules. I love it. And also had the opportunity to do the perspectives. When Tuck left and went off to Los Angeles, Herb Cawthorne and I were moved in. It took two of us, two minorities to fill in Tuck's shoes. But that's cool. And I became the first woman to do commentary, editorial commentary in San Diego media. And and all of it part of that journey. The journey of standing on my own 2 feet, right? Here's the music. I know, I'm down to my last minute, and that's okay. And I know it shouldn't just be about me, but it's not. This story really isn't about me. It's about a person discovering that they're not satisfied to sit back. A person who realizes they're going to have to get creative to move ahead in the world and to establish something. And then putting the fear aside, just stick it in the cabinet, lock it, and lose it. And being willing to take the chances to go on and accomplish something that's important to you. It was important to me to continue to be an advocate, and that's why in 2007 I retired from the television station at a time when television's cutting back, and decided if I'm going to be an advocate, this is where I can do it. As a member of the City Council representing the constituents of the 7th District of San Diego, but all taxpayers, all consumers in this city and this region, this was the opportunity to continue doing something I discovered along the way that I loved, making a difference for consumers, making a difference for an entire community. This was one way to do it, and that's another story. It was terrifying. I almost picked up the key and took that fear out of the cabinet and started massaging it again, because every day I took that risk. Every day I accepted that I might not win this, but I'm going to win this. Doing what it took, getting up early, working late, knocking on doors, making phone calls, asking for money, which is so tough to do. Anybody who's had to do it can tell you how tough it is. But the point is not seeing limitations, seeing opportunities, and being ready when those opportunities come along. Being ready and willing to stand up and make a difference. And not just out there, make a difference for yourself. It all does start right here. In a conversation I had with Saul Price many years ago, may he rest in peace, he taught me the concept of enlightened self-interest. Take care of yourself. Nurture your spirit and your soul, and take care of yourself physically. And when you have that well-being, when you're strong, when you're sure, you are going to be able to do a better job of going out and serving your loved ones, your friends, and your community, making lasting changes, a lasting difference, and knowing that you didn't just take up space. So, thanks for your time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. Follow your heart and make a difference. I have absolute confidence in all of you. Thank you.